Hello everyone, this is a Ford Ranger Raptor and we're here to see just how much better that this can be than the GR Sport Hilux. We are,
but this is just on a whole new level.
TVEC.
This is a performance car after all, so you'd expect it to be a lot more rough in terms of ride.
Reactions.
Yo!
Reviews.
Handmade engineering underneath this monster.
Messing around.
4 liters of fuel. Eugene, you're paying for this.
It's crazy. I'm not gonna have enough.
Like, comment, subscribe, enjoy. Now before we start with the design of this car, I'd just like to give a massive thank you to Ford Santon here in Bryanston. If you want to check out what they have, we reviewed many of their cars such as the Golf R, the Ford Territory and many other cars like that. So if you want to just check them out, make sure you click the links down below. Now moving on to the Raptor, you can clearly see that this is such an in-your-face looking car, complemented by the wider arches over here, the fender arches, and obviously with the Ford badge, because you don't get that on any other Ranger except for the Raptor model, because as you can see over there, you just get a blue oval badge because that is the wild track version. But then when you look at this, you can clearly see that Ford did take their time by making it look a lot more aggressive and a lot more enhanced. Then talking about the color, I really love how this thing looks. Just makes it pop in the sunshine. Now I am literally dying of heat in this review, but I really do like this color and I really do like how this car looks. And then looking at these BF Goodrich all-terrain tires, you can just take this off the beaten trail, mud, sand, gravel, wherever you fancy, as well as with the Fox suspension, of which we will get to when we are speaking about the engine. And then obviously the running boards, as you can see, engraved onto them is the Raptor badge right over there. And you have these little holes, I don't know for what. I think it's when you're going off the beaten trail, so like it doesn't get scuffed up over time. And then coming to the back, you obviously got your Raptor badge stating that what the model is. Then you got 2 giant exhaust pipe housing the glorious 3-liter V6 twin turbo engine, which we will get to in a second because this thing sounds amazing. So now let's head inside.
Okay guys, we are in the Ford Raptor Ranger now, and we're going to try and make this as quick as possible because the South African sun is beaming down today. It's supposed to be like 33 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's a lot. And so we're going to speak about the interior quite quickly. Now with the interior, we have found it to be really good, both ranking around a 7 or 8 out of 10 between Eugene and I. So starting off with the seats, as you can see, you've got the nice Raptor badge in here to say that it is a Raptor. Now these seats are different to what you get in your standard Ford Wildtraks or Ford Rangers. If you actually want to see our review on a Wildtrak Ranger, when it first came out, we do have that on the channel, so we'll link it down below. Now you have this really nice red stitching with these red accents running along the entirety of the seat, which make the seats pop. And you've got this really nice leather actually, as well as the suede material running along here, which Eugene can get to a bit more on his side. As you can see right here, there's a bit of suede there, and between my legs here, there's a bit of suede here as well, which is really nice. The seats also have a really good bolstering, so when you are ramping the car over dunes, you don't fly around the car, which is a great thing from Ford. I wish Toyota would learn a little bit more from Ford. They have a few pages to take out of this Ford's book and put it in the GR-S to make that car even better. Now I know that Toyota says it's not meant to compete with this, and it's supposed to compete with the Wildtrak. But even so, the Wildtrak interior is still better than the GR-S. So Toyota, I'm speaking to you guys. Now on the side here, this isn't real leather, but it is soft touch and actually feels quite nice. You've got this cool material running along here with this really nice design, as well as again, more leather over here. There is a bit of scratchy plastics here and some storage down below, but that's not too much of an issue. Now you have all your window controls and stuff here, which isn't really important. But one thing I want to get to quick is actually the door handles, which are on the inside over there. So if you're not used to it, you're going to be a bit confused. You're probably going to go like this every now and again looking for a door handle. But once you get used to putting your hand here and just pulling, it's actually very simple to use. As you can see, when you switch the car on or open the door, you get a really nice graphic display. And so before I speak about the steering wheel, I'm actually going to speak about this. So let's turn the accessory on. As you can see, built Ford Tough. Now it will warn you to put the seat belts on, and you can just press the OK button there, full accessory power. Okay, stop warning us. And then you can see your trip computer with your kilometers driven, your average speed, and your very nice gauge cluster, which is digital. You have all your sensors at the top, and it is actually a really nice display to look at. Thanks to the steering wheel being quite wide, you actually see it really nicely as well, and there's not a lot of glare or anything on it. It's got your suspension, your steering, as well as your exhaust notification there at the bottom, which is really cool. Now, we don't want to talk too much about it because, like I say, we've spoken about it before, but the differences now, especially with the steering wheel. You've got an almost flat bottom. It's like nearly flat bottom, but not flat bottom, which is really nice. And this really nice stitched leather steering wheel with your centerpiece here, which I don't understand too much because this is usually for race cars, but it is quite cool. Now, you do have some really big flappy paddles, which is quite nice, but they aren't the most expensive feeling flappy paddles in the world. But we'll get more to that later on in the video. And then again, you've got this really nice material running across here. There is some forward things, for instance, if you push this down, or if you move this a bit, or if you move this a bit, and then you can feel the entire car actually moves. I don't know if you can see that on video, but the entire car moves. So there's some small nitty-gritty things to more moan about, not complain about, but it's not too much of an issue. Now to this piece over here, you do have quite a big glove box with a little disc that you can put in and slide around to obviously create a little bit more space, or put some stuff in here as well. You do have 2 cup holders as well as wireless charging, which again, Toyota, please learn from that. Please update your car's interior. It needs to be updated. And then you do have your drive modes with 4 high, 4 low, 4A, and 2 high. And you can switch between, as well as your different terrains, but more of this is in the infotainment. And so speaking about the infotainment and your actual manual or analog, whatever you want to call it, volume buttons and climate control, which is really nice, I'm going to give it to Eugene to actually speak about that.
So now that I'm here, actually, because we've already done a full in-depth review of this car, well, in the form of the Wild Track, I won't speak too much about it, but we did say before that we actually really do like how this infotainment system is. There's a lot of functionality in here. It's very large. It just goes all the way down. It almost resembles the new BMW front grille design. So I guess that's why I still don't like how that car looks. You can hate me all you want. And then apart from that, everything about this infotainment system is everything that you need in modern cars these days. You have your Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, you have your media, Bluetooth, everything that you associate this car with. Now, one thing I do got to speak about is just how much more of stuff in here there is compared to the GR Sport Hilux that we did. In Toyota, they really do love to cost cut a lot. So I'm really, really glad that you finally have electronic adjustable seats, because I don't understand why, when you're paying 1 million rand for a car, especially a bakkie or a pickup truck, wherever you are in the world, you have to get manual seats. So I'm really, really glad that Ford at least thought about putting electronic adjustable seats in both the passenger and also the driver's side as well. So now that we're at the rear compartment of this car, we have to check out how practical it is. Now, usually I'm inside there. I'm about to open up here, then I'm about to tell you everything based on what I feel inside as I'm lying down. But because today is almost like 1 million degrees Celsius, or how many degrees Fahrenheit, I don't want to be sitting in there because I will get cooked up like KFC fried chicken. But I will just sit out here or stand out here and tell you a little bit about what the rear compartment is like in this car. I will say though that the GR Sport Hilux did feel a lot more spacious. It did have a longer boot space, and inside here, as you can see, you have your charging outlets over there for if you want to go camping or you want to go on long journeys. You can just sit here, or you can tailgate, and then you can just plug in your appliances such as toasters, microwaves, and everything associated with having such a massive or a very mid-size rear compartment space. So now let's move on to the engine.
Okay guys, we are now at the front underneath the bonnet, and I have to just say I wish this had hydraulic struts. I mean, you're paying 1.2 million rand for a manual strut, but we can forgive it for one major reason. This, something that Toyota doesn't understand: a 3-liter twin-turbo V6 Ecoboost. Basically, a tiny baby 4GT engine. Now, we know it's not the same capacity, not the same power, not the same turbos, and all that, but we like to think of it as that. It is still a V6 turbocharged motor. Now, this car puts out 292 kilowatts, which is just about 400 horsepower. And this is in South Africa. We don't get a diesel option, but I know overseas you do get the previous generation diesel as an option for an engine here, which is around about 290 horsepower. But yeah, 292 kilowatts, 583 newton meters of torque, all-wheel drive, pushing this car to 100 in 6 seconds, or just over that in temperatures like today. And never mind its capabilities on road, it's off-road where this car comes alive. I get goosebumps speaking about it, because this car is meant for the dunes, it's meant for Dakar, and it puts the GR-S in its place when it comes to performance. Now, I know the GR-S, again, is a wild track competitor in terms of power and price, but for 200,000 Rand more, this engine is definitely worth it. The only thing the GR has is fuel economy. But I mean, we're car enthusiasts. Who really cares about that? Let's have a listen to the sound of this glorious V6. Okay guys, we're actually inside the Ford Raptor now, and I must say we actually started off-road there, and it's actually a very compliant suspension, and even on the road this car has some heavy pull. It sounds very good, I must say that. It definitely sounds very, very good. And I must say the steering's actually very firm. Now that might help because of the actual weight of the car, for one, and because you've got some serious tires on it. Now, again, the suspension is very compliant. It's not as bouncy as what the GR-S was, and it does feel a lot stronger. That is because it is Fox suspension. Now, Eugene especially really loves the suspension on this, so I'm going to actually give it to him to speak a little bit in the passenger seats while I drive a bit more.
So as he just enjoys, and I know he's gonna floor it, this thing definitely has a lot more go and a lot more pull than what the GR Hilux felt. So the suspension is so compliant over these undulations over the road. Even as we are just off-roading a little bit, it just soaks up so many imperfections of the pavement that in a way that I don't even know that the Hilux could. I mean, we just went over some rocks over there and I could barely feel it. It was like almost cushy in a sense, and it's just so nice, and it's so fast. Like, it really, really is fast. This twin turbo V6, as we said before, is like almost a mini Ford GT, even though it is not the 3.5 and has 600 horsepower. We do like to think of it as that. And over some corners, I don't know how Mateo feels about it.
The corners definitely feel quite good, I have to say. The only complaint I have is because of these tires. Now, these are off-roading tires, so you do have that road noise from the actual car. I don't know if you can hear that properly. You can hear the tires quite a lot. I have to say that the brakes work really nicely. They feel like they actually stop the car really well, and the turning circle is actually really good. And if I accelerate through this corner, it actually holds itself quite well through here. It's very stable, especially for a bakkie. So we're actually going to end it off here, swap seats, and see how Eugene feels about this car. And I'm going to give him a little breakdown of what I feel, that this car feels really good. It's a surprising car.
Okay guys, so now that I'm in the driver's seat, I can definitely say off the bat, oh, I love that sound.
And I have to just quickly say that this gearbox is actually phenomenal.
Oh, the brakes! I had no idea how surprisingly grabby those brakes were. I mean, the whole entire front end of the car just went dip first, nose first.
But at least we know the car is safe. That's a good thing. Usually these bakkie suspension is a problem, and their brakes for the weight is a big problem. But this feels solid, I have to say.
And I also do have to say, this might probably be the best bakkie I think I've ever driven. Like, off the bat, everything about it is just so well calibrated. The gearbox is nice. The sound is unbelievable. Not many bakkies have 6 cylinders these days, except for maybe a Ford Wildtrak or some variation of it. But this sound right now, it sounds phenomenal. Just sounds like, you know, how a 6-cylinder sounds in most cars. And because now we have a learner driver in front of us, I just do have to slow down a little bit. And I don't know what they're doing, but it just gives me a little bit of an opportunity just to literally go through some of the normal stuff that should go with this car, such as, you know, how does it fare in like slow moving traffic and everything. It feels really, really nice. It just definitely feels really more compliant than what the GR Hilux felt, because that car really did feel really, really rough. It really did feel so rough. And my God, the brakes and the pedal shifters, they're not the best, but you know, they're literally what's needed, basically, as like I always usually say. And then if I just come around the corner here, God, when the turbos spool, my God, jeez,
This car runs, I have to say. I don't know if Eugene agrees with me, it feels stronger than a Golf R.
It definitely does feel stronger than a
It has
Golf R.
more drama, it has more theatre, more sound, more character. It feels special. It isn't just your normal bucky, and it drives well. Now there is body roll, you're never going to get rid of that. It's got big suspension, it's high, it's got a lot of power, but the car is phenomenal. It is just phenomenal.
Now, usually we are back at the dealership and we're talking about how we're so grateful to what the guys gave us and the dealership that actually gave us this car. But because this is a Raptor, it has to be in its natural element, which is off the beaten trail, in the woods, in the forest, which is so spectacular. So what do we think about this car? Compared to the GR Sport Hilux, it is so much more better. The suspension is so much more better. The ride comfort is so much more better. The interior quality, Toyota, please give us a little bit more functionality inside and a little bit more luxurious touch-ups, because honestly that car, even though it's a new car, has new registration and everything, it feels like it's from 2014. So with that said, well, with that being said, I'd just like to give a massive thank you to Ford Santon for providing us with this car. If you want to see more reviews like this, make sure you like, comment and subscribe, because there's a lot more of these coming in the future. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.